Hi, Lydia. Hello. How's everyone doing today? Happy Monday. Today is June 15th. I cannot believe we are in the middle of June. Hello, hello. So today we're gonna make a rainbow wrap around knot bracelet. I always kind of say that backwards. Wrap around knot bracelet. Hi, Lee. It's a beautiful day in Chicago. Hi, Pamela. Wonderful. Good to see you guys today. So yeah, it's June 15th. I'm gonna make a rainbow wrap around knot bracelet using white beading wire. We're gonna use Soft Flex medium 0.019, and we're gonna use Soft Touch, very fine 0.010. I don't use the very fine very often, so I'll talk a little bit about what it's used for, but I'm excited to share that with you today. It works really well with the crystal beads because I'm using 4mm bicone crystal beads, and they were a little too small of holes to have the medium go through twice, so I went down. Hi, Becky. Good to see ya. Let's see who else is here. Hi, Mary. Rainbows. So I'm wearing my rainbow earrings. I made these with Soft Flex beading wire and crimps. That was it. I did that in a Free Spirit beading video about a year ago. So you guys can check that out, and I will link that in the description a little later today when I go and I edit the video description. Let's see. Hi, Wendy from Tennessee. So I'm excited to play with rainbows today. I have been focusing on my chakra energy sources for the last 3 months and doing art journaling and doing some painting with that. And so I think it'll be really fun to now incorporate those rainbow colors into a bracelet. And now I'll have some earrings to go with it as well. June is also Pride Month. Yay! So it's a wonderful time to be making some rainbow jewelry, and I just want to say how fantastic it is that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of non-discrimination. So they have the civil rights law for non-worker discrimination for LGBTQ workers. So that is super exciting. That happened, I believe, today. I keep seeing it around this morning. So yes, love is love. Let's make some rainbows. Couple of things just to let you guys know about. We've got the Amazon Princess stuff is getting low, so if you wanted to pick any of that up, the Amazon Princess bead strand, we are down to 6 strands. The Amazon Princess bead mix, we are down to about 10 mixes, and that's what I used last week on last week's video. We have the Amazon Princess Trios, which is a beautiful beading wire set with the gold, red, and blue beading wire colors. It has the 24 karat gold one in there. And we have a new quad, and that's what we are, what our sale is all about this week. So let me show you that. And we call this a quad of beading wire because there's 4 of them. And this one has all Soft Flex medium, 0.019 diameter, 10-foot spools of each. You get the white, the dark blue lapis, the blue topaz, and the tanzanite. We put this together based on the Pantone color of the year, which is classic blue. So we wanted to put together a really fun mix of all of our blue tones for you guys. And if you pick this up today or tomorrow, you will get the new free, you'll get the new classic blue check bead mix free with purchase. And the bead mix is about $10.49, I believe. It's a huge bead mix. I was hoping to work with this and the bead mix today, but it's in the mail and it's in my town, but it'll get delivered probably this afternoon because my mail tends to come a little bit later in the afternoon. So it just did not arrive in time for me to do my video today. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but I'm excited to work with rainbows, and then maybe I'll be here using the quad and the classic blue bead mix next week. It's a huge bead mix. Sarah did a video on Wednesday with it, and also on Saturday here on the YouTube channel, and Wednesday was on Facebook, on the Sawovski Company Facebook page. She actually went through her entire bead mix and like put it all out, counted it all out. There's some pictures she shared in the Sawovski VIB studio group. So if you wanted to take a better look, you can check that out over there. I saw a few people join us. Who else is here? Let's see. Hi, Sherry from Indiana. And Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Welcome. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. Joe. Hi, Joe from Houston. All right, do I have anything else to let you guys know about before I get started? I should tell you that the BOGO, buy the quad, get the bead mix free, ends tomorrow, June 16th at midnight Pacific time, or while supplies last. If we happen to run out of bead mixes before tomorrow, then the offer will just sort of stop working on the website. And all you have to do is put the quad in your cart. You'll automatically see the free bead mix get added. That's for retail purchases as well as our designer purchases. Lastly, we do have a live bead sale tomorrow. So mark your calendar for tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time and join us over on the Sawovski Company Facebook page for our next live bead sale. They're always a lot of fun. It's great to be there live because you can get involved in the live giveaways that we usually have planned, and you can get first dibs on bidding for stuff. A lot of the things are very limited quantity, and we go in first come, first serve. But that said, we do keep the sale open till Thursday. So if you can't make it at 1 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow on Facebook, you can always watch the replay, and we will take orders up until Thursday night, midnight Pacific time. And then the sale gets closed and we start our process of closing everybody out and doing our invoices and stuff. Okay, so I'm going to turn you down to my bead table and let's talk a little bit about the supplies and get going on our tutorial. I'm curious how this looks. I have my macrame board on a photo box. Hi, Penny. Hi, Lydia. You just got your things on Saturday from the last bead sale. Yeah, we have a bead sale every 3 weeks, and it does take, you know, almost 3 weeks to get all of your stuff invoiced and ordered together and shipped to you. So that's a good gauge of time frame, is that you'll probably take about 2 weeks before we get the invoice paid, and then by the 3rd week, by our next bead sale, you most likely have your order in hand. Okay, so tools I've got is a pair of cutters and a pair of surgical crimping pliers. I'm going to be 2x2 millimeter crimp tubes, so you can use crimping pliers that work with that size. Those are the magical. I'm going to use the Sawovski beading wire in medium diameter in white quartz. This is for these side edges. So this will be your, I don't know what they're called, but this is sort of your one that runs up the side here, and that's going to be your medium wire. You're going to need 2 strands of this. I cut about 12 inches just so I had plenty to go over the macrame board. And I'm using the mini macrame board. And then in addition, I'm using the Soft Touch. So this is our premium brand. And what we mean by that is it goes through an extra part of manufacturing to make it a little softer. And we do carry the Soft Touch in 4 different diameters. This is the smallest diameter. This is the very fine, it's the 0.010. And this is for stringing small gemstones. We would not suggest stringing other jewelry on it unless you can't get any other wire through because the gemstones are so tiny. So this would be for small gemstones. It'd be for embellishing, any kind of bead weaving or crocheting. I think those are warp threads, and the ones you wrap with are called the welt threads. Thanks, Lydia. Yeah, I'm not always hip on the, on the right wording. I'm just like, these are my sort of stationary threads, and then this is my weaving one here. So we're gonna use the very fine for our weaving thread, and I think she said they were called whelp threads. And I'm gonna cut about 40 inches of this one. Hopefully I have enough. That's what I'm working with here. So I think it looks like I've got enough. We'll see how we go. So that's what I used for this. Now, this particular wire is really great if you are a bead weaver or you someone who likes to do bead weaving. I would check this out for some of your projects. It comes in white, black, and our all natural like satin silver color. And it also works for embellishing. So if you do any embellishing onto materials, onto pillows, onto clothing, you can try this kind of wire instead of using a thread. Would be especially important for any like really precious projects where you don't want the thread to eventually break down and fray. Soft Touch is not going to do that. It is a stainless steel cord, just like Soft Flex, and it just goes through another process to make it a little bit softer. So if you like the way thread lays, you could give Soft Touch a try for some of your beading projects in the higher diameters. So you can get a medium in the Soft Touch. The only issue is that we don't have any other colors except for the satin silver in the other diameters. We only have the 2 other colors in the very fine. So that's just a little limitation on that part. But we find that people that use Soft Touch tend to string the whole necklace with beads. You're not leaving any wire exposed. So in that case, you know, that works just fine. And then anything else? I've got the mini macrame board here that I'm working on top of. I am using this little button as a closure. I don't usually do button clasp closures, but I wanted to play with this one. So this is just a sweet little daisy button that I'm gonna use for the closure. And I've got these tiny little delica beads in white, and that is what I used up here. Debbie says, I've never seen or used those wires or strings. Well, welcome, Debbie. I'm Kristen here, and I'm with Sawovski Company. So we manufacture all these beading wires. We've got a bunch of different brands. I think we've got about 4 or 5 different wire types, and then within those wire types we have multiple diameters and multiple colors. And here on the Sawovski Company YouTube channel we do a lot of tutorials on how to use our products. You would get the macrame board at sawovskicompany.com. That is also where you can get the wires, you can get the tools, the macrame board, your crimps. The only thing that I brought in from my own stash are these delica beads. So these are little white delica beads. And these are 4mm Sawovski crystal beads. So those were not at Sawovski. I brought those in from my own stash. So I'm just gonna put this aside for a second. And I'm gonna show you how you start with your closure. I'm using Sawovski Company 2x2mm crimp tubes, if I can pick one up. And I'm using this sterling silver. Just gonna slide my crimp tube down both of my Sawovski medium 0.019 diameter white wire. These are the two strands that are gonna be my warp threads. And then I'm gonna slide the button down one of them. So I'm just gonna attach, and then the one that the button is on, I'm going to take and make a loop. So putting that wire back down through the crimp so that I make a loop to attach. And I apologize, I may hit my camera a little more often since I'm using this to raise up the macrame board. I'm a lot closer to my camera right now than usual. So there you see, you've got a nice little loop there. And the reason why I don't loop both of the wires through is that the 2x2 size crimp tube is the best fit for 3 medium size Sawovski wires. I can sometimes get 4 in there, but you definitely can get 3. So I usually stop at 3. So now that I've got my loop, I'm gonna place my crimp right in the center of these crimping pliers. Give it a good squeeze, and it'll pinch all 4 corners. Make like a little puffed pillow with the pinched corners. Turn it on its side, place it back into my magical crimping pliers, and go again. And then I'm just gonna kind of roll my crimp in there. And you wanna make sure you're keeping your crimp right in the center, and go around a few more times. And what that does is it turns your crimp tube into a crimp bead. And then I'm gonna trim off this excess tail here, the one that does not have the loop. Be careful not to cut your loop. Using the flat side of your cutter, you can go right down to your crimp and then trim that off. And then I also have this little tail on this end, so I want to do the same thing. Flat side right up to my crimp and then trim that off. And this is called a flush cutter. We have a few different cutters available. And so now I've got the one side of my clasp onto my wires. I'm going to now stick that button into one of these notches here on the macrame board so that it holds my design in place. And let me just take this guy out of here. And then at the bottom, you're just gonna straighten these. These are the ones that are gonna stay in place. So I'm just gonna notch them down here at the bottom like that. And that will hold this in place there. So that's your setup to get started. Next, I'm gonna take my very fine, soft touch wire, which is really, really fine. You'll see here. So it's very, very fine. It's super flexible. It does get little bumps in it a little more easily because this is only 7 strands. So this very fine is made with 7 strands of stainless steel, and the medium is made with 49 strands. So the medium is much more kink resistant. However, in this particular design where we're wrapping around each way anyway, you won't even notice that that happens. So just don't get upset if you see that that happens to your wire. It will be okay. It's going to work itself out. So I'm gonna place my weaving wire, which is right now I have 40 inches of the very fine, soft touch, and I'm gonna find the center so that the center is in between my wires. And you just wanna have the same length on either side that you're weaving from. So find my center, and then I'll pull it up here to the top. Let me move this down. Pull it up to the top. And now I'm gonna start my setup here. Hold on, let me get myself untangled and so I can show you. Okay, so when you've got it in the beginning, you just have this one threading wire underneath the two medium wires, and this point is the center of your wire. Okay, so now we're going to take the right side and we are going to go over this right side here. So we're going over and then under, keeping the right side of the weaving wire on the right side of here. So see how it just sort of twisted around, and then you pull it back out. And then we're going to do the same thing on the left side. So we put, here's the end of my weaving wire. You take this, you go over the left side and under. So you're going in through the center basically. So you're taking this and you're going in through the center and then under it. Does that make sense? And now you pull that tight, and that's what it looks like. So you're just sort of wrapped it around, and that will help your beads stay in place. Now I'm gonna pick up a delica, and delicas are very similar to seed beads. They just have a more tubular shape, and I believe holes may be a little bit larger. But you could use either. This is, basically you just need a nice tiny little bead for this design here. And I'm gonna go in. I'm using the right weaving wire on the right side, and I'm feeding it from the right to the left on that side. And then I'm gonna take the other side, which is the left weaving wire, and I'm gonna feed it left to right. So you're crossing over, and then you're gonna pull both those tails. And this will be a little more easy to see as I get going, but you pull those tails, and then you can kind of, since it's the first one, you just wanna scooch it back up to the top before you pull tight. And now we're going to repeat that same thing. So we're going to go from, we're actually going to go in the opposite direction this time though. We're going to go under the wire on the right side and pull it around so that it catches on it. And we'll do the same thing on this one. So we're coming from the left into the center, and then wrapping around like that. And now add another delicate bead. Do right to left. And then on the other side, it is left to right. And then down. So I'll show you where we're at here, and see how the wire is wrapping around those middle strands and then coming up in the middle, holding that bead in place. And we're going to continue with going So the right side weaving wire goes under the right side in through the center, and then pull that back. And then the left side goes under the left side in through the center. So you should always see it catching those two warp ones. And then I'll add another delica. And then pull that down, pull that down. So if you look here, I repeated that all the way down till I got to the crystal. And so that was 15 I decided to do. So from here, there are 15 delicas, and then I went to my crystal. So I'm gonna put this one aside, and let's pick. Hi, you just setting up the the pattern for doing the wraparound knot. I'm gonna pick up where I left off on this design here to continue, but I'm gonna want, if you see how I get started and how I up at the top here, I have to go back to the beginning of. So I've got here a bunch of Swarovski crystal I pulled out in order of the rainbow, and I did two reds, two oranges, two yellows, and then I left off at a green. And then you'll see here I've got another green that we're gonna start with, and then we'll go to blue and purple, and then all the way to violet. These are 4-meter Swarovski crystal. And then I do a bicone, delica, bicone. So that's where we're at. Here is the green. We're gonna do a delica. So I'm just gonna take up my wrapping wires, and I'm gonna feed the right wire. Let me come up a little bit. Feed the right wire under and through the center. And then pull that back. And then I'm gonna feed the left wire under the left side. Now I've got it hooked on there, and I'm gonna pick one of my delicas, and you're just gonna slide the right weaving wire from this direction and the left weaving wire in the opposite direction. I sometimes don't want to say left and right because I don't want to say it the wrong way and then confuse you all. And then you'll see it kind of pops out. So you'll just pull it. When you get the next crystal on there, you can kind of scooch it up even more. So do the same thing. Take the right weaving wire under and through the center. Take the other side under that one and through the center. And now I'm gonna pick up one of my green crystals. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the delica. I'm gonna feed my wire on the right side in this direction. And then I'll feed my wire on the left side in the opposite direction. And now this is where I can scooch up that delica. And just keep repeating the pattern. So next will be a delica bead. And then after that, we'll go to our next color. So how many of you guys watching are members of our VIB group on Facebook? There's so much good info on there. You get to have links to all of our Facebook videos that we're doing, and so many people are wonderful at sharing what they're working on. Hi, Suzanne. And right now we asked, actually speaking of Suzanne, we asked a bunch of you to share your storage ideas, some of your beading storage ideas. And Suzanne, you've got a beautiful space that you shared. Lee is, yeah. So that's been really fun. We're working on a blog about storage ideas. And so Thomas put the question out to the group. If anyone wants to share their space and their ideas, we can, you know, kind of make. Mary is too. And it's been really fun to see everyone's spaces and how they come up with ways and solutions to store all of the beautiful beads and beading supplies that you've got. It's really, I think it's been one of my favorite things of asking everyone. I've been like, ooh, that looks neat. Oh, that looks like a good idea. I have an armoire that used to be my workspace, my computer space, and I have now a different desk for my computer. So I've transitioned my armoire into my beading storage, and it works really nice because beading storage can be kind of tough, and I can close the doors, and on the one shelf where I used to have my computer, I kind of put all my works in progress there, and then I can shut the door when I'm not when I'm not working on it. But I definitely don't feel like I am quite as organized as some of you are. Suzanne has an armor with her art supplies in it. Smart. Yes, I keep my arts. Luckily I have a little closet in my craft space too. So I keep a lot of my art supplies in the closet. And then I also have like an old dresser, and I keep a bunch of art supplies in there too. Storage is so tough for crafters, right? I mean, especially for those of us, I mean, a lot of us do a lot of different crafts, and so you have to store all of these things. I tend to find if I store something too well, I forget I have it, and then I don't end up using it. So I'd like to go through and clean stuff up and reorganize every so often so that I remember some of the stuff I have. Absolutely. And I think that's what you had said, Suzanne, that you had just finished reorganizing. Ooh, look at how pretty this is looking. I love it. Oh, and it's so nice that the delica beads are kind of staying put on the macrame board too. I didn't even realize I had those there. Sherry says, me. What do you mean, Sherry? Like that you forget about you having stuff because it's stored away? I think that is... Wendy bought 3 carts with 10 drawers. Oh, nice. That's nice too, because those carts are movable. I find I tend to work on my beading stuff upstairs in my office, but I also bring it downstairs to the coffee table, like sometimes while we're watching TV. And that part's kind of hard because I always forget. I kind of wish I had a little movable storage so that I can take the whole thing down with me. From Michael's, Wendy got it. And Becky says, I need to organize myself and see what I need and get. Hopefully I'll be able to get for my birthday. Yeah, that's another part of organizing, is you can see what you've got an excess of and what you might not have. So you don't end up going out and buying the same things you think you need over and over again. I think Thomas is working on that article for maybe this week or next week. So stay tuned for that on the blog, which is you can find at softflexcompany.com. I think it's going to be a good one. And speaking of VIB group members, we also do our monthly challenge in there based on our design kit. And our last design kit was the Amazon Princess one. I think you have to get your designs into the group by June 22nd to be included into the free drawing. And what I mean is, if you're in the group and you buy one of our design kits and then make something with that design kit, just share it in the group with the hashtag. I think it's Amazon for this particular one. Each month we have a different hashtag, which makes it a little easier for us to find everybody's submission. Use the hashtag Amazon, and then we go through all the people that submitted designs. We count up the designs because you get one entry for every design you do. So if you do a necklace and a bracelet, that would count as 2 entries. And then we randomly choose a winner. So it's not based on, you know, the quality of your work, or if you're, you know, a seasoned beader or a new beader. We want everyone to be able to be involved. So we go through and we tally them up, pick a random winner, and they get one of our future design kits for free. And you can win more than once. So that's always nice too. Becky bought me one of those boards. Thanks for showing them. Oh, good. Yeah, you can do macrame on it. You can do this kind of design, which is more of like a weaving pattern. They're even good just for stringing because they hold everything in place. They have the numbers down the side. The notches are really great. You can keep some works kind of in process on the board. And you can even have a couple lined up like I was doing when I was showing the other example. So did I say the deadline? The Amazon Princess deadline, I believe, is June 22nd to get your designs in the group. I always love seeing all the different things everybody makes. Sherry hides things on herself. Yeah, I do too, Sherry. I get like in a tizzy. I like a clean space. I'm definitely a creative that doesn't like a lot of clutter around. So I like a clean space, but sometimes it's so clean, I forget what I have. So we're almost done with all of the crystals. Karen says her too. I think with beading, it's especially tough because we work with such little materials. So it's so easy to just stow things away and then totally forget about them. So what's your guys' favorite color when you look at something like this on a color wheel, when you've got all the colors included? Which one does your eye go to the most? Where does your Where does your color love lie? I love all the colors, of course. Suzanne says her bead soup gets bigger and bigger. And Debbie says blue. Yeah, blue is such a favorite color. It's such a soothing color. Suzanne says blue. Wendy says all the colors. Becky's favorite is purple. I know, it kind of depends on my mood. I love all the colors too. Green is one of my absolute favorites, and it's right smack in the middle. So it's right in, you know, right in here, so in between them all. Maybe I like it because it's a nice happy middle, I don't know. Karen likes blues, magentas, and purples. And Lee likes red. Red is such a nice color. I might have to take a look at what red beads are in the live sale tomorrow, because I was also thinking about doing a gemstone necklace in, what did I do here? Did I not wrap that one around? Oh, I didn't. Let me pull this one out. Or I did, but I did it in the opposite direction maybe? Let me see what happened here. So I was gonna do a rainbow necklace with my gemstone beads, and I realized I did not have any red. I have some garnet that I've used up before, so I probably just never replenished any red. Although I kind of feel like I shouldn't watch. I love to watch the live bead shows, but then I always shop. You know, you can't help it. And that's what's going to be in my package that probably comes today is my classic blue stuff and my live my live bead sew stuff. All right, so I don't know what I did on this last one. Let me pull this one back out again. I did something. Hi, Misty Moon. Hi, Louisa. How are you? I didn't get to comment on your last video. I think you posted it last week maybe, but it was really, really pretty. Okay, let me start over. There we go. Suzanne says, I love garnet too. Yeah, I have some little garnet beads I have to do something with. There we go. I think I'm back on track now. Debbie says, gemstones, light sapphire. Beautiful. And Lydia, I bought some of the matte garnet from the last bead sale. Oh, I don't even remember seeing those. I do miss some of it because I have it kind of in the background while I'm working. So I kind of check, I go back and forth. But that's probably good that I missed some. Slows me down on the purchases. I'll have to, that sounds really pretty. I love garnet. Misty Moon says, what a coincidence. I found my old Beadsmith macrame board just today. Oh, perfect. Just in time to do a little bead weaving. All right, let's see. I think I'm done with my crystals. So now I'm gonna go back to doing these little delicas. She was cleaning out your garage. Yeah, Louisa, we were just saying how it's good to kind of clean out our spaces every so often and remember all the stuff we have, because it's so easy to store it away and then forget all about it. You shared a beautiful workspace too, because we were talking about how everyone was sharing their storage spaces in the bead group on Facebook, and you had a beautiful space. I think you may have even converted like a bar to a beading display. Am I right with that? Becky says dark pink. Yes, pink is such a pretty color. I like pink. I like dark pink, like magenta pinks as an accent. Karen says she's in the process of making earrings and necklace and bracelet and red coral beads for your grandmother. Oh, that sounds lovely. Red coral is a pretty color. Never enough storage. Yeah, you used your entertainment center. I was like, oh wow, you have a whole space like for all the display and everything. That is really nice. You gotta find the space where you can, right? Misty Moon Designs has a wonderful YouTube channel as well where she does lots of unboxing and jewelry tutorials. So you guys should check her out on her page. So I'm sure she's amassed quite a lot of finished projects. So I'm just gonna keep going with the delicas until, well, how far do I wanna go here? I might, hi M. Jane. Sherry says, I have a square kumihimo board. Would that work as well as a macrame board? They are similar material. They're a little bit thinner, so they're not quite as thick, but it does have the notches, and it will be a little smaller, so it's not gonna hold your whole bracelet, but you can probably make do with it. I would think. The material is very, very similar. Let me do one more. Oh, I should have stuck with my original. Originally, I was gonna do 10 delica beads at the top before I started the crystals. And I think if I would have done 10 instead of 15, it would have made it nice and centered. So note to you guys, I did 15 at the top and now I have 5 here at the bottom and I'm getting close to 7 inches. So this is probably getting pretty big. I'm gonna take it off and check it. Yeah, at this point, I'm gonna have to stop here. Maybe I'll even scooch, maybe I'll scooch. What's nice is when you take it off, it's still got a little bit of give. You can kind of scooch some of these beads up a little bit. You don't wanna go too far. Keep it straight. There we go. Let me see how that fits. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Okay, so what I did in the beginning is I did 15 delicas and then I started in with my colors and I did 2 of each colors, like 2 red tones, 2 orange, 2 yellow, 2 green. And now I only have 5 at this end. So to make this nice and even, I suggest just doing 10 delicas at the top, then moving on to your crystals, and then you'll have space for doing about 10 delicas at the end, depending on how you want to finish off your bracelet. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna do a double crimp. So I'm gonna grab a 2x2 crimp tube and I'm gonna take all of these wires, these 4 wires, and I'm gonna crimp them. And then I'm gonna trim off everything except for 1 medium white wire. And then I'll crimp it again to go around my button. You know, I set these up to kind of get started, but I don't always make, sometimes I make a demo where I finish it from start to end. And if I would have done that this time, I would have gotten the spacing out a little bit better, but I just kind of went in for it this time. So I will do as I say, not as I do. Use 10 delicas at the front instead of 15. So now I'm getting all of these wires in through the one crimp tube down to the end. I love how dainty this is. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it's really, it's really quite nice. And I think it would be really fun to go around and even make this longer, like a double wrap would probably be pretty cool. Becky says, that is a pretty bracelet. I'd like to make bracelets like that, but I don't know if I can because I have dexterity problems with my left hand. It does use, this particular design does use both your hands kind of going back and forth. So this might be a little more difficult for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that crimp tube right in the center of that crimping plier. I'm using the magical crimpers, so it creates little pinches on all four sides, creating like a little pinched square. And then I turn it 90 degrees and place that pinch square back in the center of the crimping pliers. Give it another squeeze. And then I kind of roll it around in there a few times, being really careful to stay in the center before I squeeze, making sure that my crimp is nice and centered. And then it turns that into a beautiful little bead. So I'm gonna trim off 3 of these wires, the 2 very fine, and I'm just gonna leave 1 of the medium. And it's good practice to kind of trim them one at a time. You can take the flat side of your cutter, go right next to your crimp, and then trim them. And I say that because you're less likely to cut off a wire that you need when you just do it one at a time. You're welcome, Sherry. Thank you. Okay, so I cut all those, and now I'm just left with 1 soft flex wire, and I want to make a button closure, so I want it to go around my button. I'm going to grab another crimp tube. Button closures are pretty new for me. I don't use them that often, but I do think they are usually pretty nice and simple to put on. What do you guys think of them? Have you ever done a button closure? So I'm just gonna string that crimp tube, and you can leave just the wire, but I think I'm gonna try, since I'm working with these teeny tiny beads anyway, I think I'm gonna try stringing these beads around it. MJ loves button closures. Yeah, they're pretty. Buttons are always so awesome. They're very unique, and then I do find them to be pretty nice to get on and off. Do you use them just for bracelets, MJ, or do you use them for other designs too? I feel like I usually just see them on bracelets, but I could be wrong. I can be kind of boring with my clasps. So I'm curious. I'm curious what other people do. Cup buttons are my favorite, and I use them for bracelets mainly. Sweet, thanks for sharing. I don't know how many I have on here. Let's see. bet this loop is too small right now. Yeah, it's still a little too small. I just put my wire back through my crimp to test it out, but it's still a little too small. So I'm gonna pull it back out and add some more beads. Jane, when you're doing button closures, I see it done with leather a lot. Are you doing it with leather? Do you do it with a beaded closure loop like this? I know Sarah does it with just the wire. And anyone else can chime in too if you use button closures. I am curious. Curious minds want to know. I'm going to test out my size again. Ooh, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I think maybe 2 more beads. And this is a pretty small button I'm using. Hopefully it will be okay as a clasp. But since it was a dainty design, I wanted to use one of these smaller ones. Sherry loves button closures too. I think Sarah plans to try and get some more buttons into, remember we had some vintage buttons in our live sale? I think we're gonna work on getting some more. Okay, so I added 2, and I actually think this might be a little too big because it's sliding a little too easily in there. So maybe I'll take, let me go like this. Let me pull it down a little tighter. Oh yeah, that worked. I just needed to kind of get a little tighter on my crimp. So I beaded around my loop. I put it back through my crimp, and I didn't crimp it yet because I'm just testing. And then you want it to slide. You want your bead to slide in, but you don't want it to be so loose that it's gonna come undone. So I think this looks all right. And when you do crimp, it's gonna pinch it just a little bit closer. So I'm going to now crimp this guy. Closed. Thank you. Yeah, it's a cute, I've had this bag of buttons for a million years, and this morning I just was like, oh, let me go find that, because I only had some big buttons in my clasp bin. How cute. And you don't have to bead this. You can leave just the wire too. I know Sarah's done that, but since I was working with these teeny tiny beads, I wanted to give that a try. So fun. So I think all in all, the sizing came out pretty good. My only change would be to do 10, closer to 10 delica beads at the beginning instead of 15. And then this way, this part here and here would be more evened out. Such a pretty bracelet. And then I'm gonna show you guys up close the earrings I'm wearing today, because these are so fun. So these are my Sawovski rainbow earrings, and they just sort of are like a leaf shape, and I did them one by one by one, just got smaller, and just using the colors of Sawovski wire and the crimp tubes, and that is it. You can find this one in the Free Spirit Beading playlist. I did it about a year ago, so it might be down a little bit far, but you can find that here in the Softlex channel as well. Jane, yes, they are 4mm bicones. They are 4mm Sawovski crystal bicones. And I did 2 colors in each colorway. So, I mean, this is the closest I had to red. I didn't have any of the red ones because I had used them for another project. So that was almost red. This one is considered a red. And then I used 2 orange, 2 yellow, 2 green, 2 blue. These are more of like a darker indigo blue. And then, oh, this other one got in here. I don't know if that guy was supposed to be there, but he works. Maybe that's why my sizing was off too. I might have picked this one up accidentally. Oh, you just never know. Thank you guys. Let me turn you back up here. So thank you for being here with me today, making our rainbow wrap bracelet. And I used, I did use the white quartz that's in the Pantone quad. You just would need to pick up the very fine. And the only reason I went with very fine is because I was using 4mm bicones, so I could not get 2 of the medium Softlex beading wires through that size of a crystal bead. However, if you're going to use beads that have a little bit larger hole and you can get 2 medium through it, then you can use any of the medium sizes for the same technique. But that's just why I went down to the smaller one. The other thing that's nice with the small, I've never actually used the very fine, but it does sort of disappear a little bit more. Whereas if you use the medium, it's gonna be a little bit bulkier. So that's the other difference. And like I said, the very fine comes in white and black, and that is a soft touch product. So you'd find that in the soft touch section at softlexcompany.com. Don't forget, we've got our BOGO. Buy one of these color of the year classic blue quads of beading wire. You'll get 40 feet total, 10 feet of each color, and then you'll get the classic blue check glass mix free. And this would be a great project with the check glass mix and these, because I do believe a lot of the check glass will go through twice with medium. Or if you have some fine in your stash, you can always try fine as well. But when I did another project recently, I was able to get the medium through most of the check glass. So you may find you can use the quad and the check glass bead mix for this same technique. Awesome. What did Lee just say? I got my board. I'm excited to do this bracelet. Yeah, the macrame board is a wonderful tool. I really love it. And Suzanne's is coming. Your classic blue is coming. Yay! Don't forget, we have the live sale tomorrow. Mark your calendars, 1 p.m. Come join us on the Softlex Company Facebook page. And does it matter what size for the quads? All the quads come in the medium diameter. So we just have the one diameter for the quads, and that's because the medium diameter is what we have all the colors in. So Softlex beading wire comes in like 26 different colors now, plus we also have the metallics, but all of those are in the medium diameter. So that's what the quads tend to be. Thanks, Sherry. Yeah, these are really fun earrings. I got to put some backings on them though, because they are extremely light. These would be very easy to lose. And I have some backings in my stash that I need to go stick on here before I pop them right out. Excited for the sale. Thank you. Yeah, I have all my paintings in the background. I've been doing a lot of painting videos on Sundays, so I tend to have all of my painting stuff up, and then I'm switching to beading on Mondays. So it's very creative 2 days, which is a lot of fun. All right, you guys, thanks for being here. I will catch you here next Monday for the next episode of Free Spirit Beading. Have a great week. Go grab your check glass beads and quad, and I'll look for you all on the live sale tomorrow. All right, bye. Oh, MJane is asking what my painting site is. MJane, you can find me on Facebook at Kristen Fagan Art and Design. And then you can also find me on my website, Kristen Fagan And then I do painting videos in my Facebook group that is called Discover Your Creative Magic. And you should be able to find a link to that from the website, Kristen Fagan, KristenFagan.com. So if anyone wants to join me, check out any of the painting or do any painting tutorials, you can always find me over there as well. All right, have a great one. Thanks for asking. Bye.